Welcome back for another episode today about CodeCatalyst. We are in this session going to look at the possibility to install connectors for your CodeCatalyst account and extensions, which gives you access to additional functionalities that are not built in and integration capabilities with other services. At the time of recording this video, CodeCatalyst is still in preview. This means that only a limited amount of connectors are available today, but we hope that we're going to get some more connectors, some more integration points going forward. So without further ado, let's go and look into it. So we are back in CodeCatalyst over here. As you can see, the space that I'm working with is locket.info. This is kind of the first information, right? You can install extensions here, especially on the space level, not on the project level. As you can see, if I go to the space information, so I went into space settings, and in the space settings, then I can see the installed extension. You can see that there is none. We can also see that we have a CodeCatalyst catalog. In this catalog, you can see all of the available extensions that are available for CodeCatalyst today. It is two things. We have Jira software and we have the GitHub repositories. We are now going to look at connecting GitHub repositories, and we're going to press the install button on the right-hand side, which is then giving us some warnings. But when we get there, we can then see that we are able to connect multiple GitHub accounts. I'm now going to go ahead and this will move me over to GitHub, where I can then select the different organizations that I am in. I'm going to go with my personal access here, which is obviously secured through MFA, as this is an account permission. Now you can see that I have already installed the CodeCatalyst application for GitHub. I can select specific repositories that will be able to be accessed. I have already selected one. I'm going to select the second one just to give this one just a try. Let's go with CDK dev website. That's a fork. After pressing on the button, I'm back in CodeCatalyst, and I will now see that there is a linked account set up over here. I can then see that I have not linked any GitHub repositories within this space to any of my projects, and I can now do that over here, which is where I can then say that I want to have my CI/CD examples projects linked to the community feedback application, which obviously does not make sense, right? But I'm still going to do it for the demo purposes. Once this is done, if I now go back to this project over here, let me just switch over to that. I will be able to see that there is a repository now linked as a source repository that comes at the end from GitHub. So you will see that here on the link that you can see on the left-hand bottom. And now we have the possibility to directly access the source code, and also CodeCatalyst will now start to discover workflows that you have in that repository under the .CodeCatalyst workflow. The interesting thing here is that workflows are not discovered automatically. They're only discovered after the first push for a workflow. After the link has happened, right? So that's something that I discovered by playing around with this one. Cool. So that was the view into that linking accounts. So now let's go back and unlink that. So I can now see in the installed extensions that I do have a GitHub repository linked. If I go over here, I can now disconnect the GitHub account. But before I do that, I can also over here unlink a GitHub repository. So this is just what happened. It happens if you maybe linked something by accident, or if you don't want to use a project in CodeCatalyst anymore, which will then bring me back to no linked accounts, no linked repositories anymore. And I can do the same for the GitHub account, where I can then make sure that the account is not linked anymore, and that also there is no access anymore possible to this GitHub. That's it for today. Really just a brief introduction into how to link and unlink GitHub accounts. What I think that we will see here is that, and I'm going to go back to the catalog over here, right? So I mentioned we have only 2 extensions at the moment. I would expect that for the GA version, we're going to see much more and more integrations, things like getting other source code stores. Bitbucket Cloud, as an example, is something that I have in mind. GitLab would be valuable as well. And I think that's really going to change the way that we can use CodeCatalyst. And with that, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.